All right, here we go, boys and girls. It's 3:45 a.m. Sunday morning, and I have before me a list of 25 questions which I have printed out but have not looked at yet, and we will see just what damage my answers do to me. I also have a pen for crossing out so I do not become confused. Grain of Sand 2012 asks, here's a hypothetical dilemma for you. A 9-year-old girl is going to die, but you can save her life by having sex with her. If you refuse to have sex with the girl, she will die. What do you do, Metabob? Well, all right, clearly this has already gotten off on the wrong foot. I don't have sex with her, she dies. I would just be too embarrassed. I'd rather feel bad about letting her die than feel humiliated or on the spot about having sex with a 9-year-old. Sorry. Prelevent asks, when did you go Kojak bald? Just about a week before I did my first YouTube vlog. This summer, I was actually on a panel at a horror fan convention for Night of the Living Dead 3D, and some photos of me on the panel showed up on the internet, and I looked at them and I said, who is that granddad? I cannot handle this. I have got to do something. So I shaved my head because it really was the only thing to do with my hair. My hair was a disaster and had been a disaster pretty much since birth, but it had just gotten more and more disastrous, and finally I just decided the Kojak look, you know, I may be ugly or whatever. I actually I have no real opinion about how I look now, but at least I don't have this little elderly granddad fringe here of baby fine gray hair. Plus, because I am really broke and spend all the money that I have on filmmaking and computer equipment, it saves me $15 every however long. And the humiliation of paying someone like $15 to do something with hair that just really doesn't deserve to be styled. So that's the answer to that. HarveyHopkins asks, will you call Wiley Brooks to discuss his ideas about breatharianism and immortality? No, I will not. I will not call Wiley Brooks. Here's the meta answer to that. The Metabob meta answer is 20-something years ago, I read the Subgenius book High Weirdness by Mail. Back before regular people knew about the internet, you know, you got all your weirdness by mail. And I was captivated by the idea of Wiley Brooks, but never, and breatharianism. But I would never have mailed off to find out more about him. And, you know, I would much rather have somebody else interact with crackpots and then me and, you know, be entertained by what they found out. And so when someone, it was D4 Sean asked me if I knew of the subgeniuses, I had to, of course, talk about that, and it was just an opportunity to look up breatharianism on the internet, because I'm fairly new to the internet. I didn't get on online until 2003, and I still haven't completely gotten used to the idea that I can pretty much look up anything at any moment. So the only reason I did a whole vlog about breatharianism was just someone asked me about Subgenius, and I discovered they were still there and had a website, and it was delightful. No, I'm going to let Wiley Brooks have the fifth dimension all to himself, and I will not be giving him $200,000 or $400,000 or $800,000 for his seminar. I can't spare it. Kicks Dog 1. Whom was the biggest influence on your life? Whom was the biggest influence? Wow, I really should have looked at these questions in advance. I don't know. Anybody I could name is just kind of frightening to me. H.P. Lovecraft? No, I don't think it was him. Hitchcock? I don't know. My dad? Maybe. Who was the big... See, the thing... yeah, this is like a whole other vlog subject. It's a sore subject to talk about who was the biggest influence on my life, because seen from the outside, that calling someone an influence on me might seem like an accusation. Okay, I'm gonna go philosophical and say Alan Watts. Whenever I can, I try to encourage anybody who might be listening to read some Alan Watts. Alan Watts is the most specific positive influence I can point to. He is the person who taught me the most about making lemonade out of lemons. teabowbraine asks, I've noticed the amazing atheist and fake Sagan don't like you that much. I make funny atheist videos that would piss all over their videos in terms of quality and humor. Why do you think they are popular? Well, this is a can of worms question. First of all, the amazing atheist and fake Sagan are both big personalities, and they well, how to answer this? First of all, they don't like me very much because I attacked them first. They spend a lot of time attacking anybody who talks to them. Not anybody, but most of the people who talk to them, and they didn't attack me, and I attacked them first, is I guess how they see it. So that, I think, more than anything is the origin of their dislike. It's a whole vlog in itself to kind of explain it, but what it boils down to is the most successful personalities in media, in entertainment, in film, and now on YouTube are people who appeal to some need, some psychic need in the people who are watching them. Sometimes it's a need to just attack someone who's easy to attack, someone who's fat or whatever. But when it's actual, when we're talking about an actual celebrity, it's something in their personality that appeals to a lot of people. And I think in the case of the amazing atheist, well, in the case of both of them, I think there's a big element of triumphing over apparent adversity, that people, they both have chips on their shoulders, and they're both lashing out in a way that can be very appealing to a lot of people. And my involvement in them, which is hopefully more or less at an end now, basically started with the amazing atheist originally sort of reminding me of me when I was younger. He's a Lovecraft fan, or was at one time, lonely playground existence in his own fantasy world. These kind of things reminded me of me. He also reminded me very specifically of at least one person that I know. And in fact, I am going to say this on the assumption that I'm going to cut in a piece of video of the person that the amazing atheist reminded me of, who I knew off and on from junior high school. This person had tremendous amount of raw talent, and but also a bunch of issues. And it all played out in a kind of an unhappy sort of way for him, and unhappy for me to see it happen. And now we've fallen out of contact, whatever. The Amazing Atheist reminded me of him, and that set off a little button in my head, so that when The Amazing Atheist started doing things that I thought that reminded me of mistakes that this other person had made, combined with just a genuine issue of principle that I had about the policies that were coming out from Atheist Scum United, plus the Amazing Atheist's approach of basically saying fuck you and shut up if you disagree with us. It all started from that, and I'm not even going to get into how Hardcase figures into it all, because I actually kind of want this video to be fairly short. But what it boils down to is, I think almost without exception, whenever we say we're doing something out of principle or for higher motives or whatever, there's a personal aspect to it. You know, it's actually nothing to be ashamed of, but in practice it always sort of feels like, oh, you know, it's special pleading. Someone suddenly realizes, you know, there's evil in the world when evil happens to them. You know, so, well, didn't you notice that there was evil in the world before it happened to you? No, weirdly enough, I didn't. So, you know, it seems like a bad thing to have a personal motive. When I was young, one of the political statements that I hated the most, I didn't know why until later, was the personal is political. Back in the 70s, this was a very popular phrase. The personal is political, and what it basically meant was, you know, if you disagree with me for personal reasons, your personal reasons don't count because my political reasons trump them. But what I have discovered as the years have rolled by is that really the political is personal, and in almost every case you're dealing with someone who's got their own axe to grind and are trying to use politics or principle ideas to bolster their own emotional, their own damaged emotional self-image or something, whatever. I'm really being inarticulate here, and this was kind of, in a weird sort of way, the self-defeating goal of this whole exercise was to not know what the fuck I was saying at the start and babble on like this. I guess I better start getting irreverent fairly soon. Coaxx. What's the most amazing painting you have ever seen? Oh, wow. I wish I had thought this through in advance. The most amazing painting I have ever seen. I want to say Edvard Munch's The Scream, just in honor of you, Coaxx, but I won't, although that's a favorite of mine. Man, I wish I'd had some thought. I'm a big fan of Hieronymus Bosch and Bruegel, and a lot of the pre-Raphaelites, and man, the most amazing paint. I'm going to try to remember to come back to this one toward the end if it suddenly occurs to me, but that's where it's going to have to stand at this juncture. I can't think of the painting. Oh, I know what it is. William Holman Hunt's The Scapegoat. Is that his name, William Holman Hunt? He was a pre-Raphaelite, and it's just a painting of a dying goat in the desert with flowers braided around its horns. That's my favorite painting. Scouty 111. What does really? Oh, what? What does reality mean to you? I thought you were attacking me, because I have noticed that everything I write, I'm always putting really in the sentence. So I thought you were mocking me, and I can't handle being mocked. None of us here on YouTube can handle being mocked. What does reality mean to me? Yeah, that's well, it doesn't mean objective reality in the sense that that we as human beings can really know what an objective reality outside of the human mind is. I mean, the most objective things that we know about reality are filtered through our minds, and so it really it's almost meaningless to talk about a reality beyond our ability to understand it, if you know what I mean, if I know what I mean. And one of the things about science that wow, this could spiral off into a really long one as well. But I think one of the most interesting things about being alive right now and taking science seriously is that over the past 100 years, science, which originally started out to discover the absolute hard truths that were promised by pre-scientific philosophy and religion, science, which set out to find the truth, and for a very long time seemed to be accumulating a picture of the truth. You know, Newton discovering, you know, the forces, how the forces work that hold things together, and, you know, Copernicus and Galileo discovering the structure of the universe, the structure of the galaxy, all this kind of stuff. Within the last 100 years, science, the objective study of empirical evidence has more and more shown empirically that everything is subjective, even to the point where, you know, I mean, with the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, with quantum mechanics and all that sort of thing, you know, Einstein said God does not play dice with the universe because he didn't like quantum mechanics, but apparently does play dice with the universe as far as quantum mechanics goes. That at this moment, when you're, as I understand it, and I am no scientist, when a physicist looks at the facts about subatomic activities, it really does seem to all depend on whether or not something is observed in order for it to have any solid solid reality at all. But I'm outside my skill area, so I'm going to move on. In other words, reality, what a concept. But this is not to say that, you know, reality is just whatever you think it is, all this kind of stuff. It needs a whole vlog. I don't know. Can I just answer the rest of these questions with I don't know? Let's see, what's the next one here? RexRegis asks, what do you believe is eternal? Right now. That is what I believe is eternal. How long is forever? The answer is right now. Right now. Let's say that you have eternity. Okay? It's eternity. But it's bounded on every side, but bounded by nothing. There is nothing on every side of eternity. So how big is eternity? How long is eternity? And is it infinite if it is bounded but bounded by nothing? I mean, this is the central, this is the core, the simple-minded truth that all atheists supposedly realize, that I base my whole idea of and it's not my idea, other people have had it, of scientific mysticism on, which is that if you don't exist, if you didn't exist before you were born and you don't exist after you die, subjectively speaking, again, what is reality? You're never going to die. How could you die if death is the absence of you? I mean, it's so simple and dumb that it sounds like it can't have any value or meaning. But if you get in the right frame of mind, and you realize that you're here now and that's all that counts. Yeah, I'm not going to be articulate enough to make this point. I've tried to make it several times, but there's no boundary on your existence. It's bounded on both sides, before you were born and after you die. It's bounded there, but it's bounded by nothing. And the fact that other people will see you die, and other people saw you being born, even though you were not there before you were born and you will not be there after you die, the fact that they saw this event that you cannot see, cannot experience, and that therefore you are immortal in the never-ending interim of now, okay? To me, you know, and as I say, I don't have the scientific chops to even make this a good metaphor, but to me it reminds me of the idea of relativity that says that if you see something traveling at almost the speed of light, it will appear to be moving. Time will be moving very slow for it. Time will be moving very slow for that object from your perspective, whereas from its perspective, time will be moving very, very slow for you. And it's counterintuitive to the level of existence that human beings function in, but it's been proved again and again with experiments, and I feel like eternity, like life, is like that. There's an expansiveness to it that we all have felt, I hope we've all felt at some point in our lives, that just comes from this reality that life is everything. It does, you know, to talk about to talk about all the time that you aren't alive in relation to how long in relation to the tiny time that you are alive, is a sort of a meaningless. It's as meaningless as saying why. You know, why is that that fast-moving object moving so slowly at the same time? It's yeah. I'm really not up for this, for explaining this well, and I've set myself to not cut anything out here, so you're seeing just what an inarticulate idiot I am. That's all on that one. Pookieftw. I remember your name, Pookieftw. I wish that YouTube had a comment history button so we could look and just like on IMDb, so you can look at any user's name and find out all the comments that they've made on videos on your videos or on other people's videos, so you can remember back to conversations you've had, because all these names just confuse me. I know that I've had conversations with you, but I can't remember what about. So your question is, what was the happiest moment of your life and why? Oh, man. The happiest moment of my life. Well, there was a real phantom happy moment in high school. There was one kiss that I got that was like, it was, it seemed like the angels had come down out of heaven. Not, that's a bad description of it. It seemed like everything that I felt had to happen in life was actually happening, and this idea lasted about 8 hours. But at the moment that it happened, it was spectacular. Apart from that, one of the happiest moments of my life is kind of a long moment, and that was the discovery of digital filmmaking. Because I have always been film oriented, and digital filmmaking kind of saved me from being trapped as a real non-participant in filmmaking, even though I'd had a tiny bit of professional filmmaking experience. When digital filmmaking came in and I could just literally do stuff for myself, it just changed my life for the better from my point of view, although it hasn't panned out into a decent adult person's living. I'm so much more happy now than I've ever been in my adult life, mainly because I am able to do film stuff. However good it is or bad it is, it's always been central to me. And so it's like a long-term slow boil of happiness thanks to digital filmmaking.